Hi, welcome to A Place of Faith. We are so glad to have you with us today. Please join me in prayer. Perseverance. Higher power, we are grateful that you are always enduring, always here, from all that has ever been, all that is, or all that ever will be. Help us to step into this continuity, this continuation, this knowing that this moment is only a speck of sand, that we are a part of a greater picture, a greater presence, and greater meaning. And so it is. Aho.
So we're going to talk about perseverance, and I wasn't stumbling on that word until Linda did. I was like, oh gosh, I hope I don't stumble on it, but I did. So it's the act of persisting or persevering, continuing or repeating a behavior. That's what 12-steppers do, right? That's who we are. I come up here all the time and I say we are a place of faith, and I say that with love, not because I don't believe it's a place of faith, but because I believe that we are a part of you, and you are a part of us. So it comes even more natural to me to say that I'm part of that 12-step group than anything. I've been in it long enough. I've been practicing the 12 steps 24 hours a day for a whole lot of days, over 8,000 and something, right? So today I want to share with you something that at first glance it might seem like it's a little childlike, but you know that in the Bible, if you think about it, they said to be as a child, to be with Jesus, right? So however we all know the child needs to hear certain things. At least I know mine does. So it's part of a collection of a wisdom by Dr. Seuss. Now I say wisdom by Dr. Seuss because I think a lot of the stuff that Dr. Seuss wrote was not just for the child, it was for everybody. But many times I've quoted other authors and I praised them at a few points in my life in many other situations. But this one came to me early in my recovery from, my sponsor actually gave me this book, and I was like, wow, a kid's book. But at the time I had just become a grandmother, and she's like, read it to your grandchild. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool, I'll read it to my grandchild. And as I'm reading this book, I'm like, wait a minute, you're being sneaky here. So I want to tell you, just first off, Dr. Seuss reminds me of two things. First, that the child's heart is very wise. Because I believe that's where the child's heart is, and it is a wise heart. It's an old soul. And number two, that adults need the child's heart to be wise. They need that child inside them to be the wise one to help guide them through. So I'll have a few quotes that I'll share along the way, and I'll also share some things, how that showed up in my life as perseverance. Because this book is about perseverance. The book title is, Oh, the Places You'll Go. Now, I don't know about you, but when I first got into recovery, I thought, yay, I finally made it. Everything's going to be great. Yeah, no. It wasn't so great, and it was tough. And there were things I thought, okay, I have this squared away, and then I didn't have it squared away anymore. So I had to keep going. And the perseverance is every 24 hours I get to start again, right? So Dr. Seuss wrote this book in the 1990s, and I've purchased more than 12 copies myself. I've passed them out to anybody that'll take one from me. I've passed them out to sponsees. I've passed them out almost every grandkid I've ever read. And I've probably read this book 1,000 times. So there's sometimes I get into it and I'm like, get so excited about what I'm going to say because I know it makes more sense to me probably than it does to them. So we know that the typical hero's journey by Joseph Campbell's standards was, Joseph Campbell wrote a book way back in the 1940s, I believe it was. There's a hero in everything. There's the call to the journey. There's the call to the adventure. The refusing of the call, which was really good for me. I like to refuse the calls. And the threshold and the abyss where there's nothing. The transformation and the atonement. And then the return. The hero comes back to his own life, the hero. Dr. Seuss plays the hero in more of a 12-step way, I believe. So let's begin the kind of journey, one a little closer to my home. If you've read this book, you stop here. Go get it. Let's take a look at it together. If you don't, then there is a PDF free online. If you want to download it, it's an awesome book. So at first, there's this very smallish human. It looks like it could be a boy, possibly, walking through this hedge of a labyrinth. And I don't know about you, but in my spirituality, I've seen many labyrinths and walked many labyrinths. It's kind of a path that you walk through, kind of metaphorically a path of our life, right? So the smallest child is walking all alone as this bigger voice says, congratulations, today is your day. You're off to great places. You're off and away. And that's kind of how I felt in recovery, especially early. I'm like, yes, I'm going to make it. It's all going to be good. You know, from here on out, everything is going to be great. So that's how I began my recovery. My feelings would, and then I noticed that if I had all these really good ideas, I'm new in recovery, or I have all these really good ideas, and I'd go to my sponsor, and she'd go, yeah, well, no, probably not. You know, and then my feelers would get hurt, and then I'd wonder why this voice above me was telling me, you know, oh yeah, it's going to be great, you're going to be great, and then I'd still keep stubbing my toes, and this great thing called sobriety. Wow, that was fun, you know. Some days still now I have to tell you, wow, yeah, sobriety. I'm still choosing this. It hurt, and my feelings got hurt sometimes, and I had to see them. I had to start looking at things in different ways. And when someone would say it was off to a great place, I'd be like, well, I'm not so sure this isn't going to hurt a little bit. I think it was my child hurting. I think it was the thought that sobriety was the answer, but what answer was it? You know, to what? What am I really getting off? And what am I really getting into here? So a few places later in the book, there's a really cute quote. You've probably heard this one a million times. You have brains in your head and you have feet in your shoes, and you can steer yourself any direction you choose. This was awesome. I thought, you know what, I can steer. It didn't say anything about being guided. It just said, I can steer myself. I can make a choice. So now that I have my head full of brain, my feet full of shoes, what did I do? I left town. I figured, hey, you know, it must be the town and the place, because, you know, that's where I'm having problems, is right here. So I'm smart enough. I know better now. I've got my sobriety going on. So have any of you ever done a geographical change? You know, oh, it's the city, you know, it's the place, it must be them, you know. My big lesson here, wherever I go, there I am. That one went down hard. I can't tell you how many nights I cried about it, because that was the biggest lesson at that moment, was that even though I could steer wherever I was going, I was the one that wound up there. And as the common denominator of all of the things, all of the chaos in my life, the only common denominator in it was me. And even I still get a little teary-eyed when I come to that recognition, because I remember the day that I figured that one out, and it was a long time ago. And I'm just like, wow, there is something, and it's me that's going to have to change, and I can't expect it. So it wasn't the drinking or the drugs or even the men. It wasn't the people, or that wasn't the family that I left behind, because they were 2,500 miles behind me. How could it be my codependency with them if they weren't in the same room, right? Anything and everything that was in the choice was only me, and this was really hard for me. So this little boy in the story, he continues to wander the labyrinth of life, and the child starts to find some interesting things to do. And before you know it, he's in these balloons, and he's off and away, and they're having such a gay time, and everything is going. And that's how I felt like when I moved, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm making this money, and I'm doing all these things, and I'm having these experiences, and yay, everything happens until they don't. And Dr. Seuss says, wherever you fly, you will be the best of the best. Wherever you go, you will top all the rest, except when you don't, because sometimes you won't. I'm sorry to say that sometimes it's true that bang-ups and hang-ups can happen to you. And you crash. You know, What happens? I'm sober several years. I'm working my steps. I'm going to meetings. I'm leading meetings. I'm sponsoring people. And I lose my job. And at that time, I made good money. And I thought, what am I going to do without a job? And then everything came into question because I guess I had put all of it in this one bag, that everything was going fine and nothing can touch me, and I'm sober every 24 hours and I'm leading all these people, and then I felt like the chair was kicked out from underneath me, you know, and the sober thing, is this going to last if I can't pay my bills, if I'm under too much stress? Am I, you know, we get knocked down. We get knocked down, but this is where perseverance comes in. And as Dr. Sue says, we end up in the slump, and unslumping ourselves is not easily done. That is true. That's when, for me, it was more meetings, more frequently. More meetings with my sponsor, more meetings with my sponsees, more meetings in person, more movement, more service, where I had to actually get more involved. If I wasn't working, I could search for a job part-time, and I could do the rest to work on my sobriety part-time. Because I knew that if I just drifted off and let go and I stayed there, that it wasn't going to be helpful for me. So this is where one of the old sayings that I heard, I don't know if you guys heard this in AA or NA or whatever, but it's simple, but no one said it was easy. The big E word, you know, you think, oh, things are easy. No, they're simple, but they're not easy. I had to actually work for it. So in our haste to get free, we might start trying anything, and this is a slippery slope. I have to watch slippery slopes, you know. I still have to keep on my toes about my sobriety, and I mean, even to this day, I had some serious family losses recently, and right after the one really intense phone call, the first thing that popped into my mind is, you know what, I could just have a drink. It doesn't matter anymore, you know, whatever, you know, I can't cope with this. So I might as well just not feel anything. And I knew in that instant that, okay, that's not where I need to go, because that's not going to get me what I want, because then I'll have to have another one. One is not enough, right? One is never enough. So the huge test, as Dr. Seuss says and calls it, is that you come to a waiting place. You're waiting in lines. You're waiting for a break. You're waiting for a change. Or you're waiting for anything. We're waiting for our tribe. We're waiting for anything, a place with no benefits, that doesn't benefit our lives. This is where our traditions and principles help us in 12 steps, because we don't wait. We get moving, right? And in Dr. Seuss's book, they were waiting in the waiting place. He also says you'll get mixed up, of course, with, as you know, you'll get mixed up, of course, with strange birds as you go. So be sure to step with great care and great tact, and remember that life's a great balancing act. Isn't that all that it is a balancing act? I mean, we have to keep on our toes, and we have to keep everything balanced. We have to keep ourselves balanced, our own self-care, and work with all of our sobriety, and work with our jobs and everything else. And things begin to happen, and we begin soaring again. And I did find work, and I wasn't afraid because I got let go. And I wouldn't, however, I was trying my best to be grateful. I was doing a job that I really didn't much care for, but it was work. And a lot of times they say if you have work, then you can find work. So as long as I had work, I was going to be grateful about it. So I was working along, and everything was going really good, and then I got laid off again. And this one was a layoff. I wasn't fired, which was really great. But at the same time, you don't have a paycheck. It was hard to endure, but I learned perseverance here, and I started thinking, what was my next step? What is it I wanted to do instead of allowing some life to bring me something? How could I persevere through this and move into what it is I wanted? So I don't know if you've heard that there's been some very famous people that have persevered a lot, and I've listed a few of them here. Milton Hershey from the Hershey's Chocolates, okay? He dropped out of school when he was in 4th grade, and he took an apprenticeship with a printer company, and they fired him. Then he became an apprentice at a candy maker, and after studying business for 4 years, Hershey just started 3 unsuccessful candy companies, and in Chicago, Philadelphia, and New York. He moved back to Lancaster, and he began the caramel company. He sold that caramel company for $1 million in $1 million in 1900. So that would they estimated in 2008 that was worth $25 million. But in 1900, he sold it for $1 million, and he started the Hershey's company, which brought milk chocolate, previously a Swiss delicacy only, to the masses. Another perseverer for us, of course, Steve Jobs. When he was 20, Jobs started Apple in his parents' garage. And within a decade, the company blossomed to $2 million empire. At age 30, Apple's board of directors decided Jobs wasn't a good fit for them and fired him. And so Jobs was fired from the company that he created, and then he found himself unemployed, and he went on to found the next company. It's NEXT, a software company and Pixar, and the companies that produce animated movies such as Nemo. Next was subsequently purchased by Apple, which is funny. Not only did Jobs go back to his former company, but he helped launch Apple's current resurgence in popularity, which we know since then Steve Jobs has passed away. But his legacy is great. J.K. Rowling, I don't know if you know about her. I am so happy that J.K. Rowling made it around, because what would I do without Harry Potter? I don't know. She wrote the Harry Potter books, and she's the second richest female entertainer on the planet, behind Oprah Winfrey right now. The interesting part is, at the time that Rowling was writing the original Harry Potter book, her life was self-described mess. She was going through a divorce, living in a tiny flat with her daughter. Rowling was surviving on government subsidies, and her mother had just passed away from multiple sclerosis. Perseverance, right? And another one of my favorites, if you guys don't know him, Jack Canfield, look him up. He's an amazing author. He's written hundreds and hundreds of books. You'll know The Chicken Soup for the Soul, which now has over 250 different Chicken Soup for the Souls. He created that book. Perseverance is this man's middle name. After he pitched the idea to more than 100 companies, his agent dropped him because he kept getting denials, right? So he pitched it kept going and kept going. At 130 companies, a publisher finally said, sure, we'll publish this for you. What if he had stopped at 129? All the Chicken Soup for the Souls, all the other additions to that, the 250 different ones, and all the other books that he's written. He has a massive coaching platform online right now. He was doing things around the world before, of course, the world travel was shut down, but they've sold more than 50 million books worldwide. And as for me, Perseverance, I can succeed 24 hours a day. I can. And I will wake up again tomorrow, and I'll worry about that day then. And I'll just worry about the 24 that I'm in right now. Perseverance lessons for me is to never give up. Could you imagine if Jack Canfield had quit on his 129th publisher? And good thing, if you don't know it, perseverance can be taught, okay? Statistics show that teaching perseverance from character to character website says you can teach them to be taught to be patient, to be self-encouraging, to introduce small changes in steps, kind of like our 12 steps, right? One step at a time, do it in small changes. We can listen for and find other stories of perseverance from people we admire or follow. And we can take a break if we must, just never quit, like Linda said. Even go slow, just don't quit, right? If you have a strong vision and clear goals, never stop until you achieve them. And Dr. Seuss says, you will succeed, you will indeed. 98.75% guaranteed. Kid, you'll move mountains. Let's pray. Father, thank you for the time here today. Thank you for the words, and for those listening, and for the joy that they bring to our lives when we know that they're listening and that they hear us and they join with us in these moments of perseverance. They are not alone. We are all together. Amen.
Please join me in guided prayer right now. This is our time for ourselves. Relax. Let go of your concerns. Breathe deeply and calmly. Connect with the music. Concentrate. Close your eyes and turn your thoughts from the outer energy to within a place of your calming peace. Feel the serenity of your higher power. Feel this higher power soothing your mind and relaxing your body. Breathe in. Embrace the silence of your soul. And here in this sacred place, you are connected with your higher power. Take a moment to do the most important thing you will do all day. Extend your deepest gratitude for this moment and for all the many blessings which bring you joy in this life. Focusing on the blessings of joy, center yourself. Breathe in the perfect awareness of love, acceptance that surround you. Take in an energizing breath. Gently nudge your awareness back to the here and now. Open your eyes and smile. Be joyful. Be happy. And know you are loved. You are love. You transmit love. Namaste.
Thank you for joining us, and let's stay connected and grow in spirit. We are on Facebook. Search for Unity Church of El Cajon and follow us and like our posts. You can reach us on YouTube at Unity Church of El Cajon. Please subscribe to our channel, watch our videos, and leave comments which can help us improve. We are on the web at unityofelcajon.org. Email or call our church office to receive our weekly newsletters, which lists all of our activities and opportunities to learn and grow together.